You know baseball. It's the sport obsessed with history and obsessed with the numbers. But there's a difference between a hard record and an impossible record. We're not talking about just setting a high bar of performance. We are talking about statistical fortresses built on systemic foundations that no longer exist. But here's the thing. These kinds of immortal records aren't protected by a lack of talent today. We didn't just stop producing guys like Cy Young, Nolan Ryan, or Cal Ripken Jr. We fundamentally changed the entire game, trading the era of relentless endurance for the modern age of specialization, analytics, and pitch count limits. To break these records, a player wouldn't just need superior talent, they'd need to fundamentally restructure the entire sport's economic, medical, and analytical pillars. We traded the era of relentless physical endurance, where players were expected to play until they physically couldn't, for the modern age of advanced training, specialization, and load management. The records you're about to see are statistical fortresses, built on foundations that no longer exist. And if you want to know why no player will ever touch these numbers, you have to understand the 4 core principles of modern baseball that make them literally unbreakable. The most impossible records belong to pitching, because back in the dead ball era, the title starting pitcher essentially meant finishing pitcher. The unapproachable summit belongs to Cy Young. He holds the impossible record of 511 career wins. But here is the number that actually protects it: 749 complete games. Think about that. In nearly 3/4 of his 815 starts, he finished what he started. Today, a complete game is a rare, celebrated event. For Young, it was just the expectation. The current active leader in wins, Justin Verlander, is barely halfway there with 266 wins. The necessary pace is literally double the sustained rate of the greatest pitchers of the last 40 years. Okay, let's talk a bit more about the math, because this is where the record truly becomes immortal. To even approach 500 career wins, a contemporary pitcher would need to average 25 wins every single season for 2 full decades. Picture that. 20 years of perfection. That pace isn't just difficult, it's straight up mathematically absurd under the rules of the modern game. Since 1978, only Ron Guidry, Steve Stone, and Bob Welch have managed to hit that 25-win mark even once. The average modern wins leader only scrapes past 20 wins. The sheer volume required simply cannot be generated when modern velocity demands frequent rest. And wait, there is more. The shift from the 4-man rotation to the 5-man rotation and the modern pitch count limits completely prohibit the volume. Complete games are now seen as an inefficient risk in a high-velocity, high-asset environment. Then there's the Express Nolan Ryan. He stands alone in holding twin peaks of extremity, the career record for strikeouts at 5,714, and reflecting his wild ferocity, the career record for walks at 2,795. Ryan's true protector is his endurance. 27 seasons. It's highly unlikely that modern baseball, obsessed with biomechanical efficiency and injury prevention, will ever produce a pitcher who throws with that much ferocity and that much dizzying longevity for nearly 3 decades. If pitching records are protected by medical science, then the records of position players are protected by managerial caution and financial prudence. The king of the Ironmen is Cal Ripken Jr. The Baltimore Orioles legend earned the title when he set the record at 2,632 consecutive games played. That's over 16 years without a day off. When Ripken officially broke Gehrig's record in the bottom of the 5th inning on September 6, 1995, it wasn't just a baseball moment, it was a profound cultural event. The fans interrupted the game and gave the Ironman an ovation that lasted for more than 20 minutes. I mean, imagine that. 20 minutes of pure, defiant applause. His record is amazing, but his most overlooked one is 8,243 consecutive innings played. That means for years, he was never pinch hit for, pinch ran for, or removed defensively. That level of indispensability is non-existent in today's platoon-heavy game. And now, this record is functionally protected by 2 words: load management. Modern sports medicine mandates rest to prevent soft tissue injuries, and the analytic value of a fresh, 100% star player in October outweighs the sentimental value of a regular season streak. The opportunity to play every day is now institutionally denied. Beyond volume, some records are impossible due to philosophical shifts in hitting, specifically the rise of the launch angle revolution. Let's look at Joe Sewell's 1932 season. It is a statistical absurdity. He struck out only 3 times the entire season. He set the all-time Major League record, giving the pitcher a K 167.7 at bats. Sewell wasn't just lucky, he was a machine of discipline. Over a 10-year span, from 1924 to 1933, he had 2 seasons with only 3 strikeouts and 3 more seasons with just 4. Think about that sustained control. His talent was so unique that when the Indians released him in 1931, the Yankees immediately swooped in, and he even had the honor of rooming with Lou Gehrig himself. The reason Sewell's record is fundamentally unbreakable comes down to a modern philosophy, the launch angle revolution. Today, hitters are trained to prioritize high exit velocity over a simple contact rate. Front offices have decided that high strikeout rates are totally tolerable. They'll happily accept 100 or even 200 strikeouts per season because the reward, those high trajectory home runs, outweighs the cost of the strikeout. Sewell's old-school, contact-oriented, disciplined approach is now structurally marginalized by data, guaranteeing that his unbelievable strikeout dominance will never, ever be replicated. The same specialization protects Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak in 1941. Over the entire streak, DiMaggio struck out only 5 to 7 times. The closest anyone ever got was Pete Rose in 1978 with a 44-game streak, still falling a massive 12 games short of the Yankee Clipper. This is one of the most revered and famous records in professional sports. So, what was the secret to the streak? Sports writers always cite DiMaggio's extraordinary bat control. Just like Joe Sewell, his success was all about avoiding the swing and miss. Today, the streak is protected by advanced video analysis and defensive strategy. To sustain consistency across 56 games is impossible now. Modern teams analyze every swing instantly. The use of extreme shifts and instant data ensures that a pitcher and defense combination will successfully exploit a hot hitter's weaknesses before 56 games are completed, guaranteeing the streak ends. Now we turn to the king of the base paths, Rickey Henderson, and his 1,406 career stolen bases. His records are preserved not because players aren't fast, but because managers are analytically banned from letting them try. The magnitude of Rickey's record defies modern logic. He holds a monumental 468 steal lead over second place. But get this staggering hypothetical. If Rickey Henderson were penalized 1 stolen base for each of his 335 times caught stealing, and if his entire record-breaking 130 steal 1982 season were erased, he would still be the all-time career leader by 3 steals. That's how far ahead he is. The numbers don't lie. The active steals leader, Starling Marte, is still more than 1,000 steals away. Mathematically, you would need to find a player who steals 50 bases every single season for nearly 3 decades, 28 years, just to have a shot at catching Rickey. Rickey's record is ultimately protected by run expectancy. Managers now view a stolen base attempt as a statistically inefficient, high-risk play. Analytics demonstrate that being caught stealing often costs more expected runs than the benefit gained from a successful steal. Consequently, no player will be granted the opportunity to accumulate 1,406 attempts, regardless of their speed. Finally, we have the ultimate statistical anomalies, the ones so bizarre they are unlikely to ever be touched. Among all the pitching records, Johnny Vandermeer's feat in 1938, throwing 2 no-hitters in consecutive starts, has often been called the most unbreakable of all baseball records. This remains the ultimate anomaly, never duplicated in the majors or minors. The unbreakability of this record isn't about rules. It's about staggering psychological pressure and pure statistical chance. Get this. The second no-hitter, thrown on June 15, 1938, was the first game ever played under permanent lights at Ebbets Field. Vandermeer pulled off the greatest feat of sustained pitching control in history on the night when the distraction and historical weight were at their absolute peak. The fact that the modern game often relies on combined no-hitters where multiple guys pitch just reinforces the sheer statistical absurdity of Vandermeer's solitary, lights-out achievement. Next up, let's talk about Hack Wilson and his mind-blowing 191 runs batted in 1930. This record was actually a product of the entire era. It was set during this unbelievable, unique offensive explosion that immediately followed the dead ball era. The game was just unrecognizable, and everyone was scoring. Case in point, the year before, Babe Ruth was scoring 177 runs in a single season, setting up Wilson perfectly to drive in runs at a rate we'll never see again. This record now stands as a monument to a specific, high-scoring era, unlikely to return. So what's the big takeaway? The unbreakable baseball records all share a single ironclad defense mechanism. They require conditions that are totally antithetical to the modern, optimized, high-fidelity sport we watch today. The truth is, these records are safe because the game has fundamentally changed its DNA. Think about it. Pitching volume is dead, completely prohibited by medical science and modern pitch counts. Endurance is banned, superseded by load management and the constant financial pressure to mitigate the risk of a multi-million-dollar injury. The analytics rule now, which has proven that high-risk strategies like the stolen base are too inefficient for managers to allow. And last but not least, the entire modern focus on power ensures that old-school, contact-first, low strikeout consistency is a philosophical impossibility. These numbers aren't just great records. They are monuments to the way baseball used to be played, a game of lower velocity, imperfect data, and relentless physical sacrifice. They stand protected, not by the quality of the men who set them, but by the fact that the entire structure of the modern game forbids the necessary effort, duration, or strategy to ever achieve them again. Which of these records do you think is the most untouchable? Let me know in the comments below, and if you want to see other deep dives in baseball, hit that subscribe button.